Y'all, Candace Owens is losing her mind after one of her closest friends, Kirk, got taken out yesterday. Charlie and Candace go way back, and from what we know, she is not taking it well at all. But through it all, Candace has vowed to get revenge for her friend by exposing what really happened to Charlie. So does this mean that she's about to drop some insane truth bombs on us? And was this really a cover-up for something big? There is a lot going on with this unfortunate situation, so let's break it down. Okay, so Kirk was unfortunately while he was on a campaign tour planned by his organization, Turning Point USA, at the campus of Utah Valley University. He was having what was gearing up to be a heated debate with an audience member about policies, and everything seemed business as usual.
So, do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
Okay, now 5 is a lot, right? I'm gonna give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence.
But then, all of a sudden, a single rang out and he was hit in the neck. Several reports claim that he was hit in the carotid artery, which is the major artery in the neck. This explains how he bled out so quickly, because he seemed to lose consciousness the moment he was hit. Also, people online are saying that it was a planned attack, which is kind of believable because there are a lot of people who don't necessarily like Kirk. Also, there are some unconfirmed speculations that it could have been a professional hit. There are reports that the shooter was about 200 yards away, and given that it was a moving target, it kind of explains why people feel this way. Now, no matter how you feel about Charlie and what he stood for, this sort of thing is not okay. He had a lot of fans, but he also had a lot of people who hated what he stood for. But at the end of the day, we should all be able to have a dialogue without anybody losing their lives. And to make matters worse, there are now reports saying that his wife Erica and their 2 kids were in the audience when he was. This is really sad, especially because of how young their kids are. Their daughter just turned 3 and their son just turned 1. So not only did they lose their father and Erica lost her husband, but they saw it live, which has to be nothing short of traumatic. But as sad as this situation is, a lot of people don't feel bad for Charlie. People have been digging out his old tweets and comments. And well, let's just say that some people think that it doesn't paint him in the best light. One of the clips making the rounds was him saying that he would let his daughter carry a pregnancy full term, even if she was S-age.
So if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got and she was gonna give birth and she would and she was gonna give birth and she was gonna live. Would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So that's
in another video, he said black people were better off in slavery and subjugation before the 1940s.
This shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil, but what happened? Something changed. They committed less crimes.
Maybe they were afraid. I mean, 4,000 black men, women, and children were in violent lynch mobs.
That's your explanation, but
racial terror permeated American culture for hundreds of years.
Black America is worse than it has been
that affected
in the last 80 years.
The generational psyche of an entire group of people?
Well, I'm sure it did. I'm not discounting that.
And in an interview, he was quoted as saying that deaths are unfortunately worth it to keep the Second Amendment. A lot of people think that this is ironic considering what happened to him. There are a lot of other things he said or stood for that rub people the wrong way, but we're not going to speak ill of the dead. Anyway, he got a lot of hate for his beliefs, and an outlet named Jezebel even published an article 2 days before his death saying that they hired 2 Etsy witches to curse him. A section of the article said, "After placing my first spell, make everyone hate him, I was left with more questions than answers. How long would it take to kick in? Should I have splurged for a pricier spell to make it work faster?" Shortly after, the witch messaged me trying to upsell me a $50 spell booster. When I asked what it did, she explained it would amplify the energetic support of the main spell, or else I could let it unfold in its natural timing. I decided to trust the witch's will. Now, we don't know if it was the spell booster or just an insane coincidence, but the timing was just insane. To be fair, though, they did condemn the act of violence and distance themselves from it. But it just goes to show how many people felt strongly about Charlie and not in a good way. For example, this person tweeted, "Not having empathy for someone who didn't extend it to others is a normal human reaction. You're not obligated to manufacture sorrow and empathy for anyone. Should it have happened? No. Does everyone have to feel bad? Also, no. However, I do feel terrible for his wife and kids." Other people pointed out that Charlie himself didn't even believe in empathy.
I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but...
This situation is a hot, toxic mess. However, several prominent political figures, both Republicans and Democrats, have publicly criticized the President Trump tweeted, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you." Barack Obama said, "We don't yet know what motivated the person who Charlie Kirk, but this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Michelle and I will be praying for Charlie's family tonight, especially his wife Erica and their 2 young children." Joe Biden tweeted, "There is no place in our country for this kind of violence. It must end now. Jill and I are praying for Charlie Kirk's family and loved ones." Kamala Harris also said, "I am deeply disturbed by the in Utah. Doug and I send our prayers to Charlie Kirk and his family. Let me be clear, political violence has no place in America. I condemn this act and we all must work together to ensure this does not lead to more violence." But when it comes to Candace Owens, she's taking it pretty hard. When news of the attack first broke, she immediately tweeted, "Everyone please stop what you are doing and pray for Charlie Kirk, please." Like I said, she and Charlie were pretty close. They sat on multiple panels together, toured together, and often spoke at the same events.
My question to somebody who I know, because I don't know you.
Some future president.
Donald Trump Jr. Yeah, Donald Trump Jr. My question is, how do you support your father for the things that he said, such as he believes that you should grab women by the...
He didn't say that. I want to say something. I want to say something. Let me do it. Let me do it.
That's a ridiculous question, first and foremost. Because I'm sure you've never said anything bad in your life.
Are you mad? I'm sure. But you just called liberals vicious.
So, yeah, she felt absolutely terrible about it. Also, at the time she made that first tweet, Charlie hadn't passed away yet. This happened around 12:20, according to Reuters, after which he was rushed to a local hospital. He was listed as being in critical condition and was rushed into surgery. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. After his death was confirmed, Candace tweeted, "I can't process this." However, she soon started to demand the truth and a deeper investigation. A Twitter user posted something interesting, saying, "A private jet under the tail number N888KG left Provo Airport an hour after the Suspiciously, 30 minutes into the flight, it drops off of ADS-B illegally and reappears headed back to Provo approximately an hour later. Why did this plane turn off its radar? Where is the Candace replied to this and said, "If anybody knows anything about this, please comment below or email tips@CandaceOwens.com. She also seems convinced that the shooter wasn't acting alone because she said, "I can't believe this is real. Who called the hit on Charlie? We need answers, and it's clear that she's not going to stop until we find out what really happened." The FBI has also announced that they're actively working the case. They released a statement saying, "As soon as we heard about the special agents and personnel from the Salt Lake City field office responded immediately. We have full resources devoted to this investigation, including tactical, operational, investigative, and intelligence. To be clear, the FBI will fully support and co-lead this investigation alongside our partners." This is a heartbreaking story, but let me know how you feel about this in the comments, and then check out this next video.